Hello, hello. Theresa Bullock with the Bridal Goddess again and Wed Mayhem. And I have the lovely Billy with me again today, and I'm going to be demonstrating the 5 most sought after bridal buns. These are the buns that everybody wants and look so amazing. I'm so excited to show you. So come on, let's get started.
I'm slowly fading through the smoke. I can't hear myself think. Now every day since I woke up, I can finally see I'm alright.
First, you're gonna need a few things. Some sort of lovely comb, something that has like smaller teeth like this. Some lovely bobby pins. You don't have to have this fancy magnet wrist thing, only when you're maybe a professional. Curling iron, I'm using about 1.5 inches. Definitely need some good hairspray. A texture powder. Now this is one that a lot of people don't much about. It can come in a little puffy pump like this, or it can come in as like a sprinkle powder. So this gives the hair a little bit of grit so that when you do teasing, or if you're making the hair, you know, like a puffed out braid or something that you want the hair to have a little bit more texture, texture powder is the way to go. And then a little bit of shine spray, something to just give like a last finish look. There's might be some other things that I might use, but those are like your 3 holy grail products that you're gonna need. I'm also gonna be using a little hair elastic. You could use just like any hairband that you have. Doesn't have to be exactly this one. And throughout some of my other style, I might actually use a little secret weapon, a little squishy hair donut. This is when you just need to build lots of volume in the hair. One of the styles I'm going to be using this, so you can check it out and see what it's all about. Okay, so we're going to get in and start some of the prep for all 5 buns. This is going to be the same for all 5 of these. So we've already put in her hair extensions. This is going to give some nice bulk to the hair, some hair to work with, a little extra length, a little extra volume to make everything just a little bit fuller. Everybody likes a nice full bun, right? So I've got the extensions in, and I'm going to go through and use that texture powder that I talked about, that being really important for creating kind of that foundation. So this one just puffs right in, and it's a fairly big section. It's a couple inches because I don't want too much of this teasing to show through on this side. We want it to all be on this underside. Putting the comb in and pushing down just a few times, and it kind of creates that little kind of rat's nest thing. And then we put it down, bam, you got a bunch of volume. And then of course we don't want it to look crazy, so we're gonna push that down. Okay, so I have some really nice, just kind of teasing kind of as a foundation underneath all of her hair. I smoothed out the whole top area. You can see she's got nice kind of just volume all through. That's gonna work really good for all 5 of these buns. Each style is gonna take a little bit of a different curling technique, which I'll go over. Right now, it's just good to have a little bit of a wave in the hair as a foundation for all of these. All right, so I have some nice, just kind of waves in her hair that'll give us a nice foundation for all of these styles. So let's start with the first bun, which is actually a chignon. And chignon is basically a fancy term for a type of bun that's tucked under. And we're actually going to be doing the chignon with another piece of hair wrapped around it. So it's kind of like a chignon and a bun mixed together. It's going to be so pretty, so chic and elegant. There's going to be a lot of clean lines. We're going to keep the hair fairly smooth and just keep it super elegant. So now I'm going to start sectioning this off and planning what we're going to do. So we're going to have the hair basically in 3 different sections. First, right around the hair, like the hairline, basically, around the face. So just taking kind of that section, maybe 2 or 3 inches from the face. And she has hair extensions in right now, so I just kind of have to be careful to kind of section around them. You don't have to worry about them showing right now because we're just kind of getting into the style right now. So this is basically, these are 2 sections, but it's kind of part of one. So that's the first part. And then we're gonna get the second section. Again, she's got her extensions here, so I'm gonna do them right on top. So it's just kind of like this little top cap portion here as our second section. And just a lovely little clip there to kind of keep it out of the way. You can certainly clip this first section out of the way too. I'm just gonna put it in front of her shoulders right now. And then this whole section here is your 3rd section. So we got 1, 2, and 3. Now that we have everything all sectioned out, we can go into kind of planning, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about why the planning is important. And it's basically like, you kind of have to have a little bit of a visual where you're going. So I'm going to be banding this using that hair elastic. This is gonna kind of loop around, and then we're gonna take these sections to come down and use as like what we can have for volume. So we can kind of plan how much volume we want to have, play around with that. This is going to kind of come around, and these pieces are gonna kind of wrap around too. Now moving into the actual style, this is where the fun stuff happens, because we planned it all out, we know what we're doing. So this is, a chignon is at the nape of the neck, so we keep it nice and low on the head, and just gathering this whole third section, the biggest section, and we're gonna band it right there. So this part's gonna be important. So I'm not gonna put it in like a full ponytail. So I'm gonna put it in, and this hair is gonna stay looped through. So it helps to kind of get your hand in like that, and I'm pulling this little bottom piece, and you can kind of, however length you have, you can kind of decide how big you want this. You do want some of this hair to work with. So I'm gonna make it about like this. And this is basically a chignon, you guys. It's just this looped through, tucked under, pretty little piece here. This piece is going to be our next section that we're working with. This is the ends of the hair from our little hairband there. I'm just going to get that smoothed out a little bit. And this piece is literally going to just come across and putting that right over like that. So I'm just kind of holding it right now with my hands. I'm going to take bobby pins, regular standard bobby pin. I like to just get my finger in there, open it up, and start pinning. So instead of just pinning something in flat like this, you're gonna go into the hair more. And I kind of just went on the edge there. So you don't want to see the bobby pins. And some of it you can just do by feel. I've got everything all pinned in, and everything is looking lovely. We've got our chignon, got a little wraparound bun, and I decided to put a couple pieces out in front because it just framed her face really pretty. Finishing details are super important. It's when we're gonna kind of go through, see what maybe looks a little unbalanced, what needs to be smoothed, maybe you need a little bit more volume somewhere, or make a little bit more texture. I'm gonna kind of just go through and use the tip of this tail comb and kind of pull it out just a little bit to give her a little bit more volume. Looking at it three-dimensionally as well, you don't want it to be a flat spot somewhere, so you're looking at, you know, the whole head from all directions to make sure everything looks fantastic from all different views, and using a really nice high hold spray when you know everything is right where you want it to be. And if you have little flyaways, you can use a fingertip or even just use the back of this little tail comb, or even the back of a regular comb is fine too. Just something that's not gonna stick to the hairspray too much. And what I love so much about this Chic chignon is it's a lot of clean lines, meaning there's not a lot of like curls and texture. You can kind of tell like this is all pretty smooth and it really flows. You know, you've got just basically a pretty simple look going on, which works really nice for really classic, really chic, elegant looks. And if you have a dress that has a lot of detail, or you want something a little bit more simple for hair that still looks beautiful, this is the style that you can go for. I so love that Chic chignon. How about you? So gorgeous. Make sure that you keep watching because I have more beautiful bridal buns coming. So click like, subscribe, and comment for any questions that you have for me. Welcome back, guys. We're moving on to the modern twisted bun. So I have the same sectioning as we had in the previous style. So you notice we still have that 1, 2, 3. The third being the biggest one, that's gonna be kind of the bulk of our bun. These other sections are gonna be our twist. So there's gonna come twist back. It's gonna have a lot more texture than the last style. The last style was really chic and smooth, and this is gonna have a little bit more texture, the romance, hence the twists. So I'll jump right in and show you all about how that works. So I'm gonna start off with the third biggest section here. And it's really similar to the last time, but we're gonna pull through the elastic and make a full regular pony. And last time we kept it really low. This one's gonna be up just a little bit higher, not completely down on her nape, but up maybe like another inch or 2. We're gonna work with this pony right now, and this is what's gonna become our bun at the nape of the neck here. And just for a little extra volume and oomph, I'm gonna split it in half and give it a little bit of teasing like we did in the beginning, close to the base of the ponytail basically. Just sticking the comb in and pushing a few times. Everything is very twisted in this, so it gives it really nice texture. So basically just taking this whole ponytail, giving it a light twist. It's not gonna be real hard. Hold on to the ends fairly lightly, but enough that you don't pull it out. So then we're gonna take little pieces of the hair and just kind of fluff it out. So it just kind of makes it a little bit bigger, a little bit fluffier. And this one might take a little bit of practice, but it's gonna, you know, turn out different each time you do it because it's got a little life of its own. It's okay to have kind of some of the little flyaways in there, and it just makes it a little bit fluffier. And then I'm gonna go ahead and loop that around and make our bun. So just like before, I'm using bobby pins to secure everything in. You always wanna make sure that your bobby pins are fairly hidden. So again, putting them in more poking into the hair, not laying on top of it. I'm really happy with how this part of the bun is turning out, and I'm gonna move into the second section, and I need to add some curl to this because that curl is gonna help us do all of our twists. So basically it's gonna be all these twists going through here, coming back into this bun. It's gonna be really pretty. So this is section 2. I just split it in half, curled these pieces because I really don't need all this to be perfectly curled. I'm gonna twist this into the bun down here, and then all of these curls will be our pretty twists coming back in through here. And then I'll do the same in the front section as well. So I have all these beautiful little twists all coming back into the bun, and right now I basically want to make sure everything is fine-tuned and finished. And what I'm going to go through is kind of like the other style that we did before, is kind of see where I might need a little bit of hairspray and kind of just using either my fingers or the comb to kind of smooth things out, do all the little details to make sure it looks really, really fabulous, and then using a really nice, good, heavy spray at the end when it's just where you want it and spraying it really, really well. So I'm just going to finish up some of these little fine-tunes and lock it in for the rest of the day. So here you have it, you guys, a modern twisted bun. It looks so gorgeous. You see all this just beautiful texture waving back. That's what those twists do. And this is just super great when you have, you know, really a multitude of different types of themes or dresses that you're going for. It works really, really well if you have a really flowy dress, you know, kind of mimicking some of that flow. And it's really modern, you know, just keeping the silhouette kind of up, not too low, not too high, and keeps it really classic. That modern twisted bun was really pretty on Billy. Loved it so much, but now we get to try a little bit of a different look. It's actually the same sectioning, so we have that sectioned off from last time, the same ponytail back here, and this one is going to be a braided bun, a whimsical braided bun. It's very wild and free, kind of boho, and you're gonna love it, so stay tuned. So I've got this sectioned all out, and we need to plan what we're gonna do, just like in the other videos. So this one's gonna be braided. I'm basically gonna braid this whole piece of hair, and that's gonna be part of our bun. And then I'm gonna put in a couple other braids through here that are gonna wrap around and be super, super pretty. So just kind of recapping a little bit of how I pinned this in. Remember we had kind of our 3 sections. We put the ponytail, braided that in, and then I had this second section that was a braid that I wrapped around, and then we had the front section that I did a braid here and a braid here, and those just basically wrapped around. And I kind of just aesthetically saw what looked pretty and balanced things out, kind of pulled apart the braids and, you know, pinned everything in as I was going with the bobby pins. All right, so I'm just finishing up with this whimsical braided bun here. And again, just going through, seeing what needs a little extra aesthetic touch, giving a nice spray, making sure to use a nice strong hold hairspray so that it's gonna hold you in all day and all night. And again, I'm just gonna use my fingers. Sometimes you know, can work with using a comb. The end of a tail comb can work really well too. And since this is kind of like wild and free, kind of whimsical look, I'm gonna allow some kind of flyaways because it's just gonna make it look a little bit more organic. And I love these little front pieces coming out, and even allowing some of these kind of little curls to come through and kind of fall out of the back as well. And just like as she goes throughout her wedding day, it's just gonna look even more whimsical as it kind of moves and takes on its own life of itself. All right, so I'm totally loving this braided bridal bun. It's very whimsical, has kind of a boho flair. I really like having these pieces down. That gives it just like a really ethereal, whimsical look. It's really good for an outdoor wedding, like gardens, forest, you know, very like goddessy, like forest goddess, you know, garden goddess maybe. You guys decide.
I hope I'll be your destination. I hope I'll be your life-changing sensation.
Okay, now we're gonna move into the elegant bun. This This is going to be really beautiful, pretty simple. So I'm going to do different sectioning. So I've taken the sectioning out from the first 3 buns, which all had the same 3 sections. And this one is actually just going to be 2 different sections. It's going to be pretty simple, kind of like the first one. It's going to be elegant and chic, kind of go hand in hand a little bit. This one's going to be just kind of clean lines, really crisp and clean. So going into sectioning, I was thinking it was 2 sections, 2 main sections, but there's going to be one teeny little third section, which is basically going to be this little window of hair right around the ear. So we'll call this my first section. And then the second section is going to be from the top of the head here all the way to the bottom. So you have this other last section is a pretty big section that you're going to be working with. It goes kind of small, medium, and large. So I've got my 3 sections, and I'm going to just kind of plan this out a little bit. I'm going to put a hair elastic right through here, and then this whole section is actually going to get wrapped over that. And then we're just going to use the rest of this hair to loop out and do some bobby pinning and just make a nice, full, pretty, elegant bun. So as I'm working on finishing this, I'm going to just talk a little bit about how I pinned everything in. So as you remember, we had the 3 different sections. We had that little tiny one, this little slit here, and that big one. And I looped that big one over that ponytail. And I'm really just taking all the little pieces and just seeing what looks pretty of kind of wrapping it around my finger, tucking it in, putting in a bobby pin, securing that in really nice, and just kind of, it's your artistry basically. No one of these is going to be exactly the same. Just really looking at what looks pretty, how you make it look balanced, tugging on it a little bit, just moving things around till you like it. And I'm going to make sure that I lock all of this in and do some nice finishing with a good hold hairspray. We want this to hold in all day, all night. Since this is an elegant style, you don't really want much flyaways. You want to keep it a little bit more structured than that kind of whimsical look that we did before, where you could let that be a little bit more organic. This one you want it to be kind of nice and smooth and elegant. All right, looks so beautiful. I'm gonna give you a little tip here. So most of the time when you're getting married, you have your officiant, like let's say I'm the bride and you guys are my audience, and your officiant is here. The right side of your head is actually kind of like the one that's gonna be photographed the most. So we put the hair more on this right side. Something to just think about if you're gonna wonder about where to part your hair or where to put like a braid or a hair adornment. Back to this beautiful, elegant bun. I wanted to keep really clean lines. So you notice there's not a lot of like curly things happening. There's kind of just like clean lines, clean lines, clean lines. And on this other side, it's very just kind of like swooping over. That makes it really elegant. And I love that, especially for a dress that maybe is really clean lines, like a satin, not necessarily a lot of like real flowy fabric or lace. It works really, really good to kind of keep that structured look. So it's a little bit more of a structured updo. I'm super in love with it. I hope you guys are too. So moving on to the romantic princess bun. This is kind of near and dear to my heart. I think it's just like, 20 years ago when I started doing hair, everybody wore, updos up here, and it's coming back. So that's kind of fun. Most of our styles have been kind of lower back here, but this one's gonna move on up to the top of the head. That's why I call it the princess bun. It's gonna be different sectioning. So I've kind of had this first section here, and then I'm gonna move into the back and have a whole third section. So I'll show you a little bit more about how to do that. So now that I've got my 3 sections, I'm gonna just plan it out a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is, remember when I talked about the hair donut? This is actually gonna be like a little foundation piece that we're gonna put hair on top of. We put extensions in already, so she has a good amount of hair to work with, but I'm gonna make this like really big and voluminous and amazing. So we're planning this out that I'm gonna put this basically right about here, and then all the hair is just gonna get kind of piled up on top of this and have some pretty curls and pinning that all in. So I've got all of her hair pinned up, and a lot of this is just like pinning things so they look kind of swoopy and very like elegant but romantic at the same time. So I pinned in all these pieces, kind of doing some of that twisting that I talked about. Having this hair donut in there is actually really helpful. It kind of literally works as a pin cushion, so that works out nice. I thought it was looking really pretty to leave some of these little ends out and just kind of leaving that down and make it look really romantic. You can keep those pinned back as well. And then just going through and doing the same kind of finishing technique of smoothing and spraying thing. You can use your fingers or the comb like I'm doing right now. This one you can let a little bit more air in there, meaning that you can have some of those flyaways. It's not the worst thing in the world to have some of that kind of fluffiness where it doesn't need to be as smooth as some of the other styles that we did. So yeah, just finishing, making sure that it looks really good in all different angles, looking at it from the side and the back, and I think I'm really loving this. So this is locked and ready to stay all day and all night, no matter what the weather. Well, maybe just don't go standing out in the rain, okay? Okay. So this style is super wonderful for a lot of different looks. I mean, it's super classic. It definitely has like a princess flair to it, don't you think? You know, having this up on top of her head gives her like a little bit of like a lifted look. It looks kind of elegant and romantic at the same time. That's why I think it's so versatile. And I just think it looks really classic and can work with so many different themes and dresses. It's just, like I said, it's near and dear to my heart. I hope you love it.
You and I could make it work now. If you and I just let them burn out. You and I could make it work now. And you and I could return.
All right, we have finished 5 beautiful bridal buns. So much fun. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. A couple of them were similar, but they all looked really different. They were really, really beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for coming, Billy. It was such a pleasure. I love having you in the studio anytime you want to come.
Come and hang out.
Yeah, totally. Make sure you check out Wed Mayhem's rest of their videos. There's so many helpful things for couples that are planning a wedding. So make sure that you like and comment, ask any questions that you want to ask me, and of course subscribe to Wed Mayhem so that you can get all the inside scoops on anything planning a wedding. So again, I'm Theresa Bullock with the Bridal Goddess and Wed Mayhem. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.